Welcome to another exciting 4x4 Ventures episode. We've just arrived at Matamba, and today I'll bring you the Ford Ranger rig walk around. What I did to get this Ford Ranger 2.2 XL 4x4 overland ready. As I said, the Ford Ranger rig walk around, hopefully it gives you a little bit of inspiration and maybe some advice along the route. I hope you enjoy this episode. Stay tuned and check this out.
Welcome to 4x4 Ventures.
What an adventure, eh? Okay, a very hot day, so I'm just going to open up the awning because I don't know, I think the temperature is definitely 38, maybe even 40. Switch the car off and let's get this one on the go. Okay, awning done. So where to start this? I think let's do it as you would, or as I would advise anyone when thinking of overlanding. I've tried to gear up the Ford Ranger for ease of use and simplicity when I get into that location or that journey or that destination that I'm heading towards with either myself or the guys. I want to get up to a campsite and be as self-sufficient and efficient as I possibly can be in both setup, tear down, and just enjoyment around camp. And I think that's why we build or mod these vehicles. It's not to say you need to do it, but it is something to think about. If you are going to overland, then this is what I would suggest where you start and something you should be thinking about. I got a 1.4 meter 270 degree bat awning from Shorty's Adventures. Look, 1.4 meters, maybe just not enough. Something that I've begun to learn and really take into account is weight. Overall, weight becomes a big issue, both above the canopy and just general weight of the vehicle. As drivers, we have a lot of responsibility, and one of those being to keep your weight down on your overlanding rig and setup as low as you can within the limits of what is necessary to your vehicle. There's two aspects to really consider when going out there and wanting to mod your vehicle. This is not to say that this has to be done, or the brands that I mentioned are the brands you might want to end up using. The reason I've gone with these brands, for one, and in the early days of beginning to mod the Ford Ranger, was warranty, trying to hold on to the Ford Ranger's warranty for as long as I could. Remember that this has been a 5.5 year process. I started off with getting the tires. I first went for an all-terrain tire, and subsequently over the 3 years of first owning the vehicle, I ended up settling on the BF Goodrich KM3's mud terrains. They are a mud terrain tire, and the reason why I ended up going with these tires was because I found myself wanting a lot more traction, and that's exactly what I got from these tires. I've done now on these tires just over 52,000 kilometers, haven't had a puncture once, and it's not to say that that doesn't happen. They are a big tire. This is a 32.7 inch tire, so just under a 33 on the 16-inch rims. Something to also consider when you get a larger tire, you might have to get the right offset, negative or positive, depending on what you get, with your rims to prevent any rubbing that might happen when tire is at full articulation, either on the left or right, with the wheel shrouds or wheel protectors inside the vehicle. When I got the bigger tires, something that was advised to me, and this almost happened concurrently, was getting an updated suspension. I went with Old Man Emu just because they held Ford warranty and had themselves a great warranty. Bumpers. This is a hotly contested debate, and it's one of those things we sit around the fire and say, why did you do this? Why did you go with that? The main reason why I ended up going with the Rival 4x4 accessories front bumper, rear bumper and full underbody protection was just because it was a Russian company that made a fantastic aluminium version of what I thought was a great replacement to the front nudge bar. I had already felt that the vehicle might be a little bit down on power, so one of the reasons is I thought, well, aluminium being a very light and very strong piece of kit, I thought the Rival was a great alternative to going out there and getting a very heavy front bull bar. Remember, also things to consider when getting a front bull bar: protection. There are massive steel brackets in the back and support ridges that support this. Getting the front bumper increased my approach angle, which was a no-brainer. Obviously, from getting the front bumper, I went and got full underbody protection from Rival, all steel, and it just gives you the confidence you need when going out there and either doing 4x4ing, off-roading. With that underbody protection, you just feel safe and protected. I really like the Rival front bumper. I think it's an aggressive looking front bumper and is very unique. Well made, very strong, and something to consider: weight. There are alternatives out there, so do your homework on what bumper is going to suit your personality, your vehicle, and most importantly, give you the protection that you feel is right for you. So once you get the front bumper fitted, things to think about. If you're doing massive overlanding trips, you might want to consider getting yourself a winch. I got the Runver 12,000 pound winch, which came with a steel cable. Something to consider: change out your steel cable to a synthetic cable. It's very light. But just remember, when winching, things to consider: maybe go out there and do a 4x4 training course or a recovery course. There are plenty out there, and I'll leave some information in the write-up so that you can link up with the right people to do the right training course that might suit your needs. Something else to consider: spotlights. The only reason I got that was because the 2.2 Ford Ranger XL model came with really weak headlights. I went with the Steadies Type X Pros. They're a great spotlight, very affordable in the size and the delivery of white pure light that these things chuck out to some of the other competitors out there. Another great thing with the Rival bumpers is breathability, and they've got fog lights. So great additions to the Ford Ranger, and just always just bearing in mind trying to keep that weight down. Look, this is quite heavy now that everything's been added, so I've had to update my Old Man Emu coil springs to take that weight into account. Remember, when you're driving out there and you have a lot of momentum, the vehicle is always rocking and swaying with all that weight. It is moving, and with momentum you do really need to consider updating or upgrading your suspension to take into account that weight or the new future weight allocation on your vehicle. I think after year 2 I started to think, and it was towards the end of year 2, I started to think about canopies. What was I going to use? Again, keeping weight into consideration, I ended up going and using and purchasing a canopy made by Exotech. At that time, Exotech was a great option for me, just from the fact that it was an all aluminium canopy and it offered great strength and rigidity, and I just like the look of it. The only regret that I have is I got the half kitchenette unit, and if I'm quite frank with you, it's time for an upgrade. So another great thing with the Exotech canopy is just how light it was, because as a result of the aluminium. Talking about the canopy, once you get a canopy, you start to make compromises. The first compromise is you lose your loading space in the back of the Ranger. You can't put things like lawnmowers in and those sorts of things. as you start to think, well, I now need to transport all my gear, I need to transport clothes, food, recovery gear, all of that sort of stuff. Where do I keep it all? It's all going to move around and shift around in the back of the vehicle. So for a short period, I think maybe 3 or 4 months, I ended up going with the front runner draw slider system that takes the big size ammo boxes. What the front runner draw slider system allowed me to do was compartmentalize everything. Being a bloke, this suited me very well. So just excuse the hum that's busy going on. It is the 52 litre National Luna Legacy dual control fridge that I ended up going with. For a while, and after getting this fridge, I needed some way of getting it off of the front runner draw slider system. There are a couple of options out there. There are fridge slides, and you could manually just, you know, slide it out yourself, tilt it down, and, you know, maybe that's your thing. But I did that for a while, and as someone who suffers with a bad back, I wanted to go with something that was a little less labor intensive. So I ended up going with the drop down fridge slide from Easy On. Both the fridge and the Easy On drop down fridge slide units are great. I'm quite happy with them. The National Luna 52 litre fridge, it's a really great little unit. It keeps your stuff nice and cool. What's also nice about it is it's got a little freezer section, nothing too big, as well as a nice compartment for your beverages, even frozen meats, those sort of things. So yeah, really like this little unit, and it doesn't draw too much power. The Easy On Buddy drop down fridge slide, a great little unit and something that I'm very chuffed with. However, I have taken it on extreme roads and extreme conditions, namely corrugation. Corrugation is a vehicle and modification killer. Something to bear in mind, if you do get an Easy On drop down Buddy fridge slide, make sure you maintain it. By that I mean tighten those bolts when you do a big trip and you get back and those sort of things. They do begin to rattle loose. It's a great unit, and it makes everything convenient about loading and unloading a fridge. You can gain access as it brings the fridge down to a good height where you can look and peer into the fridge. Something that I really like. It does take quite a bit of space, and it is a little bit heavy, so again, just consider weight. Another thing with the Exotec Canopy, what I ended up doing was getting some lights fitted to the top. You know, when you go out to these wild places, I always find that you need some sort of safety, some sort of precautionary measure. There are a lot of critters that are moving around there in the campsites, in the wild, and especially as that sun goes down, getting some lights fitted to your canopy doors is a great option. Get a good night light that has the option to go into amber, red, and maybe bright white. The Exotec Canopy is a great unit. It also comes with a table, a slide out table, which is very functional, also lightweight and made out of aluminium. So you essentially start at this point becoming almost a self-contained unit. You now have the Exotec Canopy, you have the drop down fridge slide, and you have the fridge. You're beginning to become overland efficient. The thing that you need to think about is electricity. How do I generate electricity? How do I store electricity? And how do I maintain that electricity? The Ring unit, it's a 30 amp DC intelligent charger. By that it cuts off as soon as the starter, motor and battery is off. It kills the connection, and it then allows you to run your fridge or any electricity draw that you might need. It allocates that and allows you to do that. What's also quite nice about this unit is if you do need to recharge those DC to DC batteries and you don't want to start your vehicle in camp like I've done in the past, then it will take solar. Something to think about, and I don't have them here right now, they're in camp. Look at getting yourself solar panels. I've gone and chosen the Flexo Power 150 watt Mojaves. They're great, they do the job. And something to bear in mind is if you get those solar panels, always angle them towards the sun, and if it's overcast you can still keep them out. They will still charge your DC to DC batteries. The piece de la resistance to any vehicle or modded vehicle, something to consider is a pull-out slider draw system. Now I've gone with Frontrunner. I just think it's a great product. It looked robust, it was lightweight in comparison to some of the others out there. It comes with everything that you might think you might need from a draw slider system. I just like it because it's compartmentalizes and it's got boxes that allow you to put what you need to in those boxes for whatever trip you might want to be doing. Something to think about is that with those boxes, you are a busy fellow when you're out there in those wild areas. You need to move the boxes and play what I like to call a game of Tetris. So you do work out there, but hey, overlanding is all about working and enjoying the moments, especially around camp, and ease of use. Check this out. fantastic. Each box, like I said, and the nice thing with this draw slider unit is on full extension it has a sort of weight lock to it, so at this stage to push it back in is quite difficult. You do need a little bit of force, which I actually prefer. So yeah, very happy with the front runner draw slider system. It also comes with the option of little what they call ringlet eyes. When I go out there, I try and pack as light as I can. I put all the weight in the boxes and I just carry my, you know, whatever I need to in the back, whether it's camera gear, wood, water, those sorts of things. I do that all on the back of the front runner draw slider system. Great option for you. Something to really consider, and a great piece of advice that was given to me: do yourself a favor and make sure you get fire hydrants. I have 2 of them, one behind the passenger back seat and one up on the ring unit on the side of the kitchenette, just by the ring unit. Easily accessible fire hydrants, something to really consider, and a definite must get from my point of view. Some things to show you and mention, and things that I've done that just work as a ergonomics point of view around the back of the front runner draw slider system. I've gone, and this little blue plug here is my solar connection port. So mains, this is a mains drawn straight from the DC to DC battery as well. So you've got one inlet going in to charge up the batteries on solar, and one to draw power, which I'm connected to the fridge at the moment. The only downside to this setup is I don't have the option to connect to AC power, home power, and charge my DC batteries like that. What's also quite nice is you get, and I've gone and done this secondary, is not only do you get your little 12-volt sockets, your USB plug charging points, and your Hella plugs, I've also gone and fitted little buttons on the side here. One is for a right spotlight on the roof, a left spotlight on the roof, and then obviously my pump for to draw water out of the 245-liter water tanks in the front. Speaking of which, I also have and I've put a compressor in the back and the water outlet pipe or tap unit. Yeah, just convenient. I connect the pipe up to the water outlet, and it's easy access for the air compressor when I need to fill up the tires with air. So I really like the Exotec Canopy. Being aluminium made, it's very lightweight and very strong and robust, as I've mentioned in the past. Something to consider for yourself. Maybe you want to get, if you do get a Canopy from any of the other brands out there, maybe you want to consider getting another kitchenette unit that might be able to store your cutlery, maybe even a little drop down table, just to make you all that more self-sufficient and only reliant and dependent on your vehicle. But in saying that, this open side allows me to be able to store some wood. I can fit 4 bags of wood between the fridge and the canopy side. I can also store my recovery gear. I can fit my camping chair in here. I can fit a secondary table in here, and if I need to, I can fit a clothing bag, maybe some water. And speaking of water, what I've also done is, and I'll show you now, is I have 2 of Front Runner's 45-liter water tanks that are connected up to a pump, which allows me to obviously take 90 liters of water out there. And I find that with this 90 liters of water, and I'm out there in the bush, I get about 5 days of usage at 10 to 15 liters of usage a day for showering, and the rest I use as grey water to wash up any pots, pans, those sorts of things. Something to consider if you are going to put weight into the back of your canopy. Try and keep it over the rear axle of the vehicle. It is the best for load-bearing situations. Yeah, access, easeability, all of those sorts of things you've got to take into consideration. Something I also never ever really considered is, when you go out to these wild campsites, how do you keep and stay private when you need to shower? One of the great things or additions to the Ford Ranger, and something that really is fantastic, is I got this Easy On Cube. This is definitely a really great addition to the Ford Ranger, but now I'm losing space on the sides of the Front Runner roof racks, which I have on the top. Something else to chat to you about is, and it's not a necessary item to get, if you guys are going to look at doing some 4x4ing, maybe some hardcore 4x4 trails, and something you might want to consider is getting some rock sliders. Okay, so rock sliders, what are they? Well, I think they're exactly that. It's self-explanatory, really. If you're going over an obstacle and your breakover point is reached, you don't want any rocks or obstacles or obstructions hitting or grating the bottom seal of the doors. It's a big job if that happens, and a very costly one. I purchased the Stoffpud box rock slider systems. I find that they're very solid, made out of steel. They are very heavy, but they give me that confidence in knowing that I'm not going to damage the side of my door seals. You've now got a canopy. You now have a drawer slider system. You now have water tanks in the back. You have two DC to DC batteries. You have ammo boxes that get loaded. You've now got a 270-degree awning or bat awning, and you now have a shower cubicle. Guys, all of this stuff adds up to one thing and one thing only, and that is weight. So what I've had to do subsequent and over the years is all of this stuff has been purchased and bought and added to the vehicle as modifications to create that simplicity and efficiency out there when overlanding. You're going to have to upgrade your suspension. I've gone and put 400 kilogram leaf springs in the back just to allow the vehicle to handle the weight, especially at the back. What ends up happening is that with all this weight, if you're going over a whoop section and you've got momentum, you can start to bottom out on the back, and it makes it really uncomfortable. So make sure you think about how much weight you're going to be carrying in and on top of your canopy. It's very important and could save your life. Speak to the right people in the know about how many leaf springs and what weight allocation you might be ending up going for. It'll save you a lot of damage in the long run. Also, your tires. Again, with the KM3s, I know that these things are load weighted to about 1,300 kilograms per tire. So I recently got support and partnership with a company called Frontrunner South Africa, and they supply a lot of the overlanding gear that you could be looking out to and thinking about getting. They gave me two Frontrunner Slimline 2 roof rack systems, one for the canopy and one for the vehicle, and then I purchased some like fuel can holders, a poiky pot holder, gas bottle holder, and I've obviously put the tire up on the top as a result of getting a long range fuel tank underneath the Ford Ranger, also fitted and purchased from Frontrunner. The really cool thing about the Frontrunner products is they're fairly modular. They are a strong and sturdy product, and the great thing about it is the roof rack system has got little sliding grooves, so you can fit a roof top tent on the back. I have a Hannibal. It's not on at the moment, but it is something that I put onto the roof rack at the back of the canopy. So they are really strong. They can take great payloads, and the nice thing is with the eye ringlets that you get from Frontrunner, you can obviously strap and ratchet strap your bags, you know, anything that you might want to put onto the back of the canopy or the such. So yeah, very convenient and very easy to use. It allows you to, you know, have a modular layout for what you want to store and keep on the roof. As far as weight and load bearing and all of that sort of stuff goes, I haven't had any issues. I've driven some pretty tough roads out there in Botswana, and like I said, corrugation is probably one of the main destroyers of any modifications or products that you might add to a vehicle. If you are going to get roof racks and those sort of things, go with reputable brands. They are going to save you money in the long run and down the line. Nice, pretty cool thing with the Frontrunner roof rack system is you can attach things to the side of the Frontrunner roof rack. So in this instance, I have a spade for obviously recovery, digging out that sand and getting the tires and diff lock out from the middle maneki. I have the two-way radio aerial or antenna, which is also rotatable, so when you're not using it, you can rotate it right down, fully down, with 3 or 4 interlockable angled points, which, you know, depending on how you store your vehicle, you might want to do. Okay, So on the inside of the vehicle, what have I done on the inside of the vehicle? The guys over at Tackler Products, we created a great relationship and partnership with them, and we fitted the Ford Ranger with the signature black range. It's a fantastic product, very comfortable. The breathability of the seat covers is fantastic, easy to clean, keep maintained. Just a fantastic seat cover. Like I say, you know, I battle with a bad back and just find it very comfortable. The nice thing with the Tackler products is you can customize them to suit your vehicle, maybe your preference and taste. Things like colored stitching, what pattern or layout or design do you want from them? Maybe the inclusion of a logo or a brand name on your headrest or seat cover. Just fantastic, and they do come with optional extras, and it's a clean and sophisticated look as far as I'm concerned. RAM mounts, they came in on board and supported us with cell phone mount holder, and recently a iPad 12.1 inch iPad holder. Fantastic. You know, they're strong and sturdy products. There's no bolting to chairs or to the floor of the vehicle. Everything that they have just really works. You know, so over the years, the Ford Ranger has become sluggish. Another great partnership was in the way of Power Plus. They sent us out a unit just to increase the acceleration or rev counter curve. Very happy with the 2.2 motor. As I've always said, the third gear isn't the greatest, but with that Power Plus unit, I find that, you know, I don't really have any issues out there. And what's also pretty cool with the Power Plus unit is, you know, there's 4 settings. So you've got an economy mode, obviously you've got the normal mode, and then 3 power settings. I found that the sweet spot for me is a 1.9 setting. It's a good balance or compromise between a slightly increased fuel consumption and a great distribution or increase in acceleration. I find that that's the point for day-to-day town driving, and I'm happy with it. What else has been done to the front? We have the ICOM VHF radio, which just allows me to keep in contact when we're traveling in convoy with Ed and Chris, and I just find that being able to have that communications, you know, gives you peace of mind. You know, if you break down and you're at the tail end of the convoy, you're able to reach out and just let the fellas know what's going on. But yeah, I mean, all in all, the Ford Ranger on the inside is pretty stock standard. You know, I have added little light switches for both the, all on separate switches for the spotlights, the roof lights, which are from Steady. I just have all of those on separate switches, just so that I can control that. And you know, if you do get those headlights and spotlights and roof lights upgrades, guys, just you know, have a bit of ethics and respect those others that are on the road and that are oncoming, because these sort of things can really blind a person when they're driving at night. How do I summarize a rig walk around? Well, I guess I kind of don't really. I think that's in your hands. Look, like I said and mentioned several times already, 5.5 years to get to this point. A lot of the gear has been purchased by myself, so for any misconceptions out there, over the 5-year period, I have had to work at the partnerships and relationships that we've created, and a big thanks to those of you that are out there, as well as subscribers, for supporting both the brand and the channel. I really appreciate it, and it goes a very long way, more than you will ever realize. So a big thanks to all of you. The Ford Ranger is at a point now where she's almost completed. There are a couple of things that I would like to get redone or re-looked at, things like the canopy. If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention, why don't you just ask in the comments down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Big thanks to all of you guys for supporting the channel. To all of our Patreon members, thank you for the support. We really appreciate it. Without you guys, it just makes the trips and doing these sorts of things a lot more difficult. To those of you who want to become a Patreon member, head on over, follow the 4x4 Ventures link, sign up to your preferred package, and we appreciate your support. Guys, thanks so much for watching this episode. If you've enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know we appreciate it. Guys, till the next one, keep trucking and we'll see you out there. This is 4x4 Ventures and I'm Ryan. Cheers, guys. And that's a wrap. Sure, what a hot day. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Till the next one. Cheers.